good morning, and thank you for this amazing privilege to be here with you. I will do two things. In fact, I will be saying a few words about the disease, a rare disease called gastrinoma. And I will also be here instead of my patient for last minute. Unfortunately, she couldn't arrive. So I will tell her story as well because I think her story is very, very representative and very interesting. So let's talk about gastrinoma. What is it's a net? It's a tumor. It's an endocrinal tumor that is actually secretes gastrin. It's a hormone. Well, before we talked about a tumor that secretes mostly serotonin, but this is gastrin hormone. Usually this is positioned, you can see it here. This is this part of intestine that is exiting your stomach. And some of it, and this is also can get to your pancreas. For the first time it was described in 1955. Two doctors, Zellinger and Ellison, described that, and they described a person that had many different ulcers in his digestive system. And they found a tumor, neuroendocrine tumor in the pancreas. And they were the first one, not that long time ago, to connect those dots. What this gastrin hormone does, that is being actually secreted in duodenum, it actually secretes this gastric acid in order for us to be able to digest our food. But if you have a tumor that secretes gastrin at the exaggerated surplus rate, this secretion can cause significant problems in your digestion tract, which usually creates also very significant multiple bleeding ulcers and etc. and diarrhea. We talked about reasons of diarrhea. This is an additional reason of diarrhea. And gastrin, you can see it here, is being secreted by certain cells of your digestive system, and it causes other cells to actually secrete this acid that is so much required. It doesn't mean that you have gastrinoma. If you have a high gastrin, I'm sure there are people here in this audience that as a part of their tests, they went through the gastrin test and even had it in an elevated level. This is not necessarily a case of gastrinoma. Not every case of a high gastrin it means gastrinoma. In most cases, a high gastrin is a result of different medications, majority of medications such as Losec, Nexium, and Meprodex that many of us take. And of course, there's certain medical conditions that cause an oversecretion of gastrin. And it's not necessarily, if any one of you remembers that once you were tested with the gastrin as a clarification received the high results, it doesn't mean necessarily that you have this particular type of tumor. So let's just say a few words about the statistics of this tumor. First of all, this is the most rare tumor. This frequency is 0.5 and 2 per million of people. So you can imagine how many people of that sort are in the state of Israel. Not many of them. Majority of them are being diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 50, more men than women. And what is very interesting in this case, that about 20% of those people that have this tumor, they also have the background, a genetic syndrome called MEN1 syndrome, as you can see it here on the diagram on your left. MEN1 is a genetic hereditary syndrome, so it's been actually transferred from a parent to a child. And it creates tumors, not just neuroendocrinal tumors, but also tumors of various limbs on your brain. And majority of patients that have this gastrinoma is actually metastatic. It's very difficult to diagnose gastrinoma, and I'll tell you about Rachel that couldn't be here, and you understand that the data all over the world is quite similar. It takes about 5 years from the first initial symptom that appears until the final diagnosis of a physician, when the physician says, okay, this is gastrinoma. Why does it take so much? Because it's really hard to think about zebra. They teach us as physicians to think first of all about regular stuff, more common, more frequent diseases. We're less used to think about very rare conditions and diseases that we're not that well familiar with. In order to get to the diagnosis of gastrinoma is very challenging, and I'm showing you here some chart flow so you will understand how many different clarifications, processes and tests we need to go through in order to prove the existence of such a tumor of the disease. And of course we'll dedicate a slide to the treatment. So the treatment of gastrinoma based on two different pillars, a little bit similar to various hormones that have been extracted. From one hand, we need to control the gastrin secretion because a significant part of the symptoms related to the very fact that there is surplus of gastrin and surplus of the gastric acid. Using various medications such as Naproxen, Lexium, Malotex, very efficient medications in order to decrease the level of acidity. And it's very efficient for this particular disease. Analogs of somatostatin, sandostatin, and somatoline can decrease as well the gastrin level of secretion. And of course, we'll manage to limit the mass of the disease and we'll have less of such a tumor, we'll have less of gastrin. How do we do that? And this is the oncology kicks in. As we said, at a very small percent of cases, it can be operated, and then we would like to remove that in an operation if it's possible. In other cases, we will use methods that were mentioned already, the analogics of somatostatin that delay the development of the tumor, PRT, the breast chemo, and sometimes various therapies that are targeting liver, such as chemo or radiation directly injected into the liver. So I will summarize my part and I will present you Rachel's case. So gastrinoma is an endocrinal tumor that secretes gastrin very rare and has been expressed with severe ulcers in your digestive tract and diarrhea, and treatment is based on decrease of acidity of the stomach and the limitation of the mass of the tumor as much as possible. Let's talk about the case. So Rachel, I know Rachel from 2013. But her story starts in 2007. Then when she came for the first time, when she came to the hospital in a very, very severe state with a stomach, as we call it, as a surgical stomach, when it's very clearly that something is happening. There's a catastrophe going on there. And they are obviously the CT, they gave her CT and they identified that she has an ulcer in her duodenum. And that was actually, it's pierced. It was so severe that it actually caused an actual hole in the wall of the stomach. And there was, of course, a leak of acid in her stomach. And what else they did see that she had a tumor in her pancreas. So now it's all very easy for all of us to actually connect one and one: very severe ulcer, a pancreatic tumor, a punched duodenum. So it's gastronomozoid Anderson syndrome. So when we think about that, it's so easy to connect the dots. But unfortunately, that took 6 years, as has been written in the research and in literature and all over the world. It took 6 years until the point when the gastrin levels were measured by a physician. Maybe some of you, those who are seated in this audience, experienced this quite a significant delay in the diagnosis. Very often it's very hard for us to reach the diagnosis of rare tumors. So what happened during those 6 years? During those 6 years, they tried to operate on her to remove the tumor in her pancreas, and when they opened her stomach, they saw that this tumor was actually stuck to all of the vessels and members, and it was possible to remove it. So therefore, they stitched her up again. The biopsy from the tumor didn't show any significant clear findings, and she continued to live her life. And during those 6 years, between 2007 until 2013, what actually happened, she developed different complications from time to time: ulcers, bleeding ulcers, 2 ulcers, 3 ulcers, and etc. And this is how she lived until 2013, when a gastroenterologist tested her finally, connected the dots, and finally tested the gastrin, and it returned very high, very elevated, and she came to me with this data, with those figures. When she came to me, from her general conditions, she suffered very much because of those ulcers, horrible stomach ache, heartburn, and things of that sort. She had this severe deficiency of iron because those also bled constantly. It was very hard to overcome this. So when she came to me and I sent her to go through a PET scan, as you're familiar with, the PET test, we unfortunately discovered the disease already advanced significantly, and what used to be just a tumor in her pancreas currently became metastatic disease in her liver and an additional one in her stomach. And it was impossible to operate on her at that particular stage. The tumor was too big and it surrounded the vessel, so I had to find a medication, a conservative treatment. She began with pills of decreasing of the acidity of her stomach. We increased the level. She was treated before, so we make sure that she will receive this treatment on a continuous level. And she started the analogs of somatostatin as an injection once in 4 weeks. Under therapy treatment, I can tell you that in general, very much improved the state of health. She felt much better, and the disease in her, the ulcers were controllable. They were dormant for quite a few years, and all of everything relates to that. The deficiency of iron was balanced, the anemia was balanced, and now we are a little bit at the beginning of a decision or a bit of a new dilemma because the disease advanced. But from almost 5 years, from 2013 until very recently, she was stabilized regardless. The very fact that it was quite spread disease, she received somatostatin analog and acid decreasing medication, so that's where we're at right now. So we're hesitant to get about the future treatment, the possibilities and ramifications of each of the possibilities, but here, this is the point of time in which we are at right now. Questions? If you have any. So, good afternoon. There is a medication now of medication that developing for this particular type of tumors. I am not familiar with any cure. There's a cure that has been developed. The majority of existing medications work well. The tumors respond well to PRLT. And this is our next stage.